Today's brief has been created with open source information readily available on the internet as well as books. However, take it with a pinch of salt because some aspects have been kept secret due to said country's Official Secrets Act, and sometimes Wikipedia is probably the best place to find the information. So sit back, relax, and let's get into today's briefing. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to anyone who is watching this around the world, whatever time zone you're in. Hello! Today's video is going to be going over how to ID ships from any satellite imagery system that you may have on your phone, your tablet, or your laptop. I am using Google Earth Pro for this because it gives me a way of scrolling back through the times, basically sort of see what was there. And that's what I'm going to try and do. Now, for this video, I'm going to talk about the Russian Northern Fleet, because the Russian Northern Fleet is kind of something I'm really good at. It's something I specialise in work, and, well, this is very interesting. They have some pretty cool looking ships. So, what we're going to do, we're going to, first things first, rattle off the places that these fleets actually are based out of. Now, this can work with any nation you have. We'll look at the UK, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, French, German, Latvian, Moroccan, Algerian, Greek, Turkish, Japan, Australia, USA, Brazil, that type of thing. It will all work for it. And there's a couple of key things you need to know. 1, how many bases do they have? 2, where's their locations? And 3, what is based out of these bases? Now, I'm lucky because of what I do. I basically have a list of every single ship in the Russian fleet. Oh, well, I try to. So I'm making myself, because I'm a sad person like that. You don't need to be a sad person, or you don't need to be an image analysis officer to try and work out any of this. This is pretty much just easy stuff, okay? I've learnt it myself, because I'm a nerd. It's kind of what I do. And, to be honest, it's free. It's cool to sort of see what is knocking around. So, I'm going to take Russia. Russia is a cool nation. They have some pretty cool ships. They have some pretty ironic and pretty, unique ships. You can ID them like that. They're, from far away, you can literally go, that's a Russian warship. It's one of those. So, Russia, very big nation, has multiple fleets, okay? And today I'm going to focus on the Northern Fleet, but I'm going to go through all the fleets. So with the Russian Northern Fleet, you tend to have them based up here, because, ironically enough, this is where the northern part of Russia is. So, they have multiple main bases, okay? The surface fleet is based out of Severomorsk and Severodvinsk. Severomorsk is here, Severodvinsk is here. There's also Murmansk, slightly down the river. Sorry, I should be pointed by here. And then you have the submarine base at Polyarny, and there's a couple other little towns around it where some submarines actually are based. Some submarines are based in Murmansk, some are alongside in Severodvinsk, some are alongside Severomorsk. Yeah, you kind of get the idea. There's a couple of names up there, slightly similar. They don't really come off the tongue that very well. So, that's the Northern Fleet. They also have a Baltic Fleet, based out of Baltisk, which is down by here by Kaliningrad. And then you also have the one at Kronstadt. There's a couple of ships over in St. Petersburg, but I think they are currently fitting out, according to the imagery on here. Next, you have the Black Sea Fleet. This is the Black Sea by here. So you have Sevastopol, which is the main base. And you also have the secondary base at, I don't even want to pronounce it, but it begins with N, and I want to say it's Novosibirsk? Sorry, look at Google Translate, it's Novosibirsk. Novosibirsk? Yeah, we'll go for that one. So that's that base for there. There's a couple of small little ports dotted around, but those are the major ones, Sevastopol and Novosibirsk. There was also a Eastern Mediterranean fleet based out of Tartus in Syria. That's kind of a smaller fleet. It's kind of more of a forward deployment base. In the Caspian Sea, this one by here, you have Astrakhan, which is up here somewhere. That's kind of their main base, but there is a couple of smaller little ports dotted around. And then finally, you have the PAC Fleet, or the Pacific Fleet. This is based out of Vladivostok, which is down by here. Okay, this area. So, those are the Russian fleets. Okay. We're going to have a look at the Northern Fleet, because the Northern Fleet is quite cool. It has some very big ships. Sorry, that's the Murmansk River. So, Murmansk, Severomorsk, and Polyane are located on the Kola Peninsula. This is the Kola Peninsula by here. Good way to ID where the river is this little island by here, and there's the river with a big, massive lake down by here. So let's zoom in. Channel is here, comes all the way down. You have Severomorsk by here. Murmansk is this bit by here. And then Polyane is up by here. Severodvinsk, which we'll talk about later, is over here somewhere. Okay, let's go into Murmansk and Severomorsk. Severomorsk is by here. You can definitely tell it is Severomorsk because there is multiple different jetties popping out to the sides. And if you zoom in, you can see the big, massive, whopping, great big red ship that stands out like a massive red sore thumb. Ironic. It being a red deck, it stands out like a sore thumb compared to the water. So, go down onto a top view. You can see there's multiple ships on these piers. Now, if you're using Google Earth, you can go to, well, use historical imagery to see what's happened in the past and what has happened, well, the latest images. I'm currently operating this with the date of the 30th of the 8th, 2020. This is the latest date I can get and latest imagery I can get for this. So, let us zoom in and have a little look. So we're going to go from west to east. Okay. Zooming in here. You tend to find over here, you have Russian flagged tugboats and survey ships and supply ships. Well, not really supply ships, but more like, offshore supply ships. Okay. They're Russian flagged, they can be operated by the military, but they are alongside in the military base. Okay, they're not exactly surface combatants, but they're kind of support ships. But for this video, I'm only going to cover the Russian warships, or the major surface combatants. So, we're going to ignore these. These we're going to ignore, but they're possibly, I believe they're Groshenok class, or something similar to that size. Those are meant to be small little patrol boats. Yeah, we'll cover those slightly later on or in a different video. So, over here, we have the larger ships. That's not technically, but they're classified as a survey ship. Well, not a survey ship, a Russian warship. Okay, so we won't cover that either. So, by here, this vessel by here is a Mikhail Radetzky class. Okay. She is a deep-sea submarine salvage vessel. The quote is in deep sea. Back in 2001 when the Kursk sank, she was the vessel that went to try and rescue the crew from the sub. However, as we all know, that didn't really go to plan. Okay? Now, the best thing to look at is how many ships are actually part of the Russian Northern Fleet, especially for this class. Now, looking at it, these are Project 5360 class salvage vessels, and there's two ships in the Northern Fleet. You have the Mikhail Radetzky and the Georgy Titov. This could be one of two, okay? Looking at historical imagery, so going back a year, there is one by here, okay? Zoom out slightly. And there is no more. So, it could be that one. Go back one more year. You've got one there, which could be the same ship. Look around. There isn't any more. It's fine. Back one more year to 2017. No, let's go back to the 6th, 2018. There's two there. So at least we both know, well, at least we all know, those are both of the 5360 class. Now, let's move forward, shall we? Oh, that's an interesting image we could have used, but we're not going to use it. So, unfortunately, however, we don't have any information on which vessel this could be, which is a slight problem, but, you know, we're not people with all the intelligence to know what is sailed, when, where, and what was located up there at that specific time. So, it could be one of two ships, alright? It could be the Mikhail Radetzky, or it could be the Georgy Titov. But the best way to ID it is it's got green decks, two large dual-legged davits by here, so one there and one there, with some booms coming off it like that. The large whelb there is normally where they hold a submarine. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's one of those submarine rescue vessels, usually orange and white. Further back, you have a large deck house, and then at the very end of the ship, by here, you have a large superstructure with two lifeboats and a funnel by there. So that's how you ID a Mikhail Radetzky class, or Project 5360 class submarine salvage vessel. Next to it is a large grey warship. Now, earlier on I mentioned that Russian ships have red decks, but nowadays they're kind of moving to more grey decks. Grey decks make it slightly harder to ID a ship from, obviously, a satellite. However, there is slight tonal changes with the colour of paint, which is quite nice, but it still makes it slightly harder to try and work out what is what. Now, this vessel by here is an Ivan Gren class landing support tank, or LST. I can tell this because it's got a flat nose, flat bow, long sweeping forecastle, large superstructure here, large superstructure here, flight deck aft, and a large opening in the middle. That is characteristic of an Ivan Gren class. Okay, 120 odd meters long. It's more than a Type 23, even though it does not look it. So, yeah. IDing factors: superstructure forward, superstructure aft, large break in the middle with a crane and a flight deck aft, with a funnel off to the starboard side of there. And that's how you kind of ID it. Now, the idea of the actual vessel, I haven't got a Scooby-Doo. It can be one of two. See, as of the 23rd of December 2020, they commissioned their second vessel, which makes life slightly harder to ID this ship. So, you have the Ivan Gren, which was commissioned on the 20th of June 2018. So she's based out of the Northern Fleet. The second ship based out of the Northern Fleet is the Petr Morganov. I think that's how you say it. Morganov? Petr Morganov. Yeah, that's how you say it. And she was commissioned, like I said, on the 23rd of December 2020. So, it can be one of two vessels. Unless you have some sort of three-dimensional view you can have a look at that to try and work out which hull it is, you're not going to work it out. You can, however, try and go into the street view with your little person and have a look at it from there. However, for there, it will not work. And if we go out to that, there is places you can try and get imagery of these ships. So I tried this at work, worked pretty well, but I believe I still could not actually ID that ship. And unfortunately, my little man doesn't actually want to load up the three-dimensional images, unfortunately, so it's a slight problem. Sometimes it's nice to just lag out and be weird. So, yeah, that's kind of how you do it. You can also, which is very, very cool, is if we zoom out completely to by here, get your little man, there should be little places you can load up the street view. However, I don't think you go to photos, it might work that way. There we are. Right, we zoom in. It should give us an image. Nope. Okay. Right, so you can also use the images to try and work out what is around. Let's use this image right here. So that's a large ocean-going tugboat. Behind there's a large salvage, like, transport ship. Let's move over here. It's a good way of trying to work out some things. Oh god, your standard Russian buildings. Very holdover from the Soviet Union. So yeah, tugboats, that type of thing. Move further on, you can try and work out which one it is. That's the Marshal Ustinov, that's not what you want. That is the Mikhail Rodetsky, and that looks like... I don't know what that is. That's slightly hard to work out. That's a Uteloy. Probably one of the 5, well, one of 4 that's spaced up there. Any other better images? No. That's annoying. Nope. Last one. Kirov. That's the arse end of Slava. So, okay. Never mind. So, we can't actually use that to ID it. Although, ooh, 2 Sovs. Interesting. That's kind of what you can kind of get out of this. You can ID it via the hull numbers. It's a different time and image. It's always worth a try trying to have a look at it. Obviously, pieces are great. Let's go back to what we were doing. So, Ivan Gren class. Moving on. This one by here is a chartered out tugboat. Now, I'm not going to cover the name of it, but it is what it is. It's a chartered out tugboat operated by the Russian Navy for assisting in ships, towing ships, assisting in deep sea operations, that type of thing. Next to it, you've got a Sovereignty class destroyer. How do you know it's a Sov? A couple of key aspects. There's 2 gun turrets, large, circular, ball, like a ball, dual 130mm guns. There's 1 forward and 1 aft. Above it, you have what it pretty much looks like the SM-1 launcher off a OHP, but Russian. And that's kind of what you can sort of see there. There's 1 there, and just about to see 1 but there. Okay? Good indicator for a Sov. Another key aspect, on the sides, abreast the bridge, you've got the Ssgn 22 Sunburn anti-ship missile launchers. There's 2 quad launchers, 1 per side. Superstructure's there. The aft superstructure is here, which comprises of the funnel, which you can still see with the big black blob there. You can't see it on this image, but there is a mast there, a lattice mast type thing, with a telescopic hangar on the back end, and a raised flight deck by here, for a single Ka-27 Helix. That is very similar to that of a Spudent, Kid, or Ticonderoga class. And that's how you kind of ID yourself a Sovereignty. Now, the good thing about the Northern Fleet and Sovereignty class destroyers is they are slowly going. And to ID it, it's pretty easy. All you need to do is just type in Northern Fleet onto the internet and active ships of the Northern Fleet, and it will give you exactly what you want. Now, I have a little piece of paper next to me that has all the list of ships for the Northern Fleet, Baltic Fleet, all that type of thing. And this states that that is the Admiral Gorshkov. Now, if you're going to watch tomorrow's video, you are going to work out that, hang on a minute, there's 2 Admiral Gorshkovs. There's a Kirov class, ironically Kirov itself, is called Admiral Gorshkov, and there's a Sovereignty class destroyer called the Admiral Gorshkov. Yeah, slightly confusing, isn't it? But that's what it is. Okay, so next we're going to move on to this. This is the big black tube that is a submarine. This is an Oscar class Ssgn. However, this is the problem. So an Oscar 1 has a vertical tail like this. The Oscar 2 has a long angled tail with a pretty much like a normal tail of an airplane. Okay, This thing has got a vertical tail. Now, as this is dated as 2020, it means there's some discrepancies here because officially stated the Oscar 1 class, comprising of 2 submarines, were decommissioned and scrapped by 2004. So, this is the problem. What is this submarine? Now, we can go back into 2019. She's not there, which means she is sort of semi-active. 2018, there's a big box on top by here. Back to 2017, there's nothing there. 2016, there's a Rapucha and a Kilo. 2014, nothing there. 2015, there's an Oscar. That's a big fat Oscar. As you can see, there is an angled tail on that there. So, it's very interesting. Very fat looking Oscar. And it's also depending on what the angle of the camera actually is, or how it swoops over. And actually, looking at it, what is the length for that? It's always a good idea to, get an idea of how big this submarine is. So it's 152.8 meters long. I'll go into my little piece of paper. Go down to Oscar 2. Oscar 2s are big subs. They're one of the biggest submarines ever built. Oscar 2 is... There she is. Nope, that's Bori. Victor. I, for some reason, do not have an Oscar. Very, very strange. Okay, give me 1 second. So, luckily enough, I actually have a Wikipedia page open with it that actually has the length. So, the submarine should be 155 meters long, which is very correspondent to this. However, there is much more that is underneath the water, and the other problem is it's very, what's the word? Very deceptive. So, it can be an Oscar 2. However, looking at it a bit closely, when I obviously went off camera to try and work out the size, that's roughly where the submarine ends, maybe a bit further on. Now, I'm going to reassess that. That is actually a Bori class SSBN. How do I know it? How do I assess that? Well, it's too thin to be an Oscar. Oscars have got the vertical launch silos, or semi-vertical launch silos along the sides. Whereas on a Bori, they have a sort of longish looking superstructure, or sail, and then the missile tubes are there. And actually, to be fair, looking at it, you can probably just about see the VLS there. So, I'm going to reassess. That is a Bori class SSBN. Now I'm going to whack up my recognition crib, and I'm going to have a look to make sure that is a Bori. Remember I said about the vertical tail? Well, a Bori's got a vertical tail, and you can just about see the repulsor there. So, yeah, that's a Bori class. Now, the question is, what Bori? So, you need to look at how many Bori class are in the Northern Fleet. You've got 2. You've got the Yuri Dolgoruki, and you've got the Knaz Vladimir. So, that's the question. Which one is she? I'm pretty sure, if I look at it, there's 2 different lengths. And unfortunately, no, it doesn't actually have a different length. I'm thinking about the Ssgn class. It's quite hard to, you have many ships in your head, and you kind of get slightly confused of what's what. But, now that is a Bori class, unfortunately. Can't tell you which one it is, but it's definitely one of 2. Right, moving on to something I'm a little bit better with, which is battle cruisers, and surface combatants. Now, as you probably could have guessed earlier on, I mentioned this thing as the Peter the Great. Yes, it is 100% the Peter the Great. A couple of things to work out when you look at a Kirov class. It's the sensor fit and the weapons fit. It can basically tell you which one is which. As tomorrow's video is a Kirov class, you can kind of get an idea of what exactly is the difference, but I'm going to give you a quick little look. So, this is a Kirov class. Don't even need to measure it, you can basically tell it straight away. It's got a large raised forecastle, a well deck by here with lots of missiles, the large Ssgn 19 Shipwreck missile launchers, they're sort of semi-vertical, they're kind of like on a 45-degree angle. Then I got the point defense missile system. Well, they're not really point defense, but yeah, you kind of get the idea. They're surface-to-air missile launchers by here. Kashtans on the side, large dual superstructure on the forward end. So you got smaller superstructure there, the bridge section with the tall mast and what looks to be the top pair radar. You just about see it there. Slightly confusing to look at it. On top of the bridge, the very distinctive Tombstone fire control radar. So that's for the vertical launch silos by here. That is the only ship to be fitted with it at the moment, and it's got a very distinctive thing where it kind of pops up, looks like a tombstone, ironically, hence why it's called Tombstone, and that appears to be in the firing position. It's very strange. But that's kind of like a goldy orangey colour. So there's that. Down aft, you can see the smaller, thinner superstructure by here with the dual 130mm gun. You can just about see the barrels on there, and then the lower flight deck, the VLS next to it, the hangar doors there, so they pop open, and then the single flight deck on the aft end. That is a Kirov class battlecruiser, the Russian Federation ship Peter the Great. If you want the whole number, it's 099. Next to it gives you a complete sense of scale compared to what is actually a large ship compared to that. So this is a Slava class. This is large. This is a large ship. That is huge. That's massive. I've been told by a few people that these things are monstrous honking warships. And to be fair, I've seen one of these and it's honking looking. So how do you ID a Slava? Slavas have got these missile silos, or yeah, we'll go missile silos. Missile silos along the side by here, or missile launchers. These are the Ssgn 19 Shipwreck missile launchers. Very similar to this, however these are located on the side of the ship, abreast the forward superstructure. There's 8 per side, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 16 overall, okay? There's a 130mm gun forward of a superstructure with 2 little AK-630 30mm seawards, you can just about see there. The bridge is there, with a mast you can just about see. Behind it there's a large gap, which is very, very, very good at understanding that is a Kirov. No, sorry, correction, that's a Slava. Now, differences between the Slavas and the Marshal Ustinov, which is the Northern Fleet version, which is what this is the radar. You see, this one has a different radar. The other two, Moskva and the other one escapes me right now, have top pair. This one has a slightly different radar, which is quite cool. It's a great way of IDing which ship's which. For the life of me, I can't remember the radar. Behind here, you've got a dual funnel with a large gap down the middle, which you can just about see a crane. Actually, I don't think you can see the crane, or just about the end of the crane, but there. Crane normally fits between there. Then, by here, you've got, on the main deck, is the octuple surface-to-air missile launchers. They're kind of like in rotating missile launchers. So, a single missile will launch out of one tube, and it'll rotate, and it'll fire out the same hole, but it's kind of got like 8 on the top, 8 holes. Weird. Down aft, you've got the top dome radar, we can just about see on the shadow over there. That's there. It's literally looking over the flight deck, which is raised up over the quarterdeck, but it doesn't cover the entire ship's beam, which is quite cool. If I can find an image for you. There we are. It's an older image of the Marshal Ustinov, and that's where the top pair radar is. You can just about see top dome there, and you can see all the missile launchers there. That's kind of the idea of it, and obviously Peter the Great is in the background smoking from a steam plant. So yeah, that's that. Right, let's move to this one by here. This is probably one of my favourite ships. This is a Uteloy class destroyer. Now this is one of two, okay? There's two of these in the Northern Fleet. You can ID as a Uteloy one because it has two 100mm guns on the forward end of the ship. As you can see by here, it's in very old-fashioned super-firing mounts. Then, another IDing factor is the two sets of dual funnels, so one there and one there. This image is slightly balked because of the angle, the resolution, and some aspects are kind of slightly hidden, which is annoying, but you can just about see on the side over here where the exhaust for the Ssgn 14 Silex anti-submarine warfare missiles would fire out of. So the missile launchers are there, and the exhaust come out there. Now, the other key thing to look at is the flight deck. The flight deck on these have two landing spots. However, they can only land one at a time. The lines go into two hangars, and these can fit a Ka-27 Helix in both. Okay? That's the best way to ID a Uteloy 1. I will show you a Uteloy 2 in a couple of minutes. Continuing our move to the right, or to the east, you have this. This is a Rapucha 2 class LST. It's a Rapucha 2 because it's got a 130mm dual cannon, same as this one and this one, and as well as the Sov remedies. So, same armament, Sov, a Kirov class 1144-2, and a Slava. So, there's that. Another key aspect to work it out is it's got a flat, stubby bow by here, just as you're looking down at it. Got a large raised section on the deck by here. It's not very big, but it actually looks like a small little door that can slide back. The 130mm gun superfires over the forecastle deck. Then you have a large superstructure aft, which raises up multiple levels, and then down aft you have what's pretty much a little anchor on the port quarter for there. Next to that, you have got these. These are landing ships. So, looking at RussianShips.info, which is a good source I can basically use to work out what's in part of which fleet. You're looking at the Grigory Pedodonots. That's slightly butchered. But that is that one there, because she's the only Rapucha 2 in the Northern Fleet, just because of the idea of the gun at the front. That there are basically Project 1176, which classifies as Ondatra class. These are the LSTs that can go into the back of the Ivan Gren, or some large landing ships like that. You know, let's have a look at the picture there. You can probably see, there we are. There is a Rapucha 2, probably the same vessel as that one there. And then we go from here. Rapucha. You can see that. That is... It's kind of hard to actually work out what that is. So, there we are. So that is Severomorsk. Very interesting look. I'll have a quick look at these images and I'll show you some images if they're interesting to look at. There we are. That's an interesting image to look at, actually. So that's the first image I clicked on. That is a Uteloy 1 class destroyer. Pennant number looks to be 619, which, if you look at it, goes to Severomorsk. That's Severomorsk, that is. Two ships in the Northern Fleet, currently active. Severomorsk and the Vice Admiral Kulakov. And I've actually seen the Kulakov at sea, which is a very naughty looking ship. So, yeah. Right, let's move over to Murmansk, where some of the ships are based out of. So, first things first, we look at Murmansk, is this. This by here is definitely an Oscar 2. I'm going to say 100% that's an Oscar 2. Reasons for it: dual propellers down aft, angled and long tail, and then obviously you got the sail there, the hull shape, and you can't really see the sides by here. This is where the missile tubes are basically located. Now looking at Oscar 2s, you have got 4 well, no, it's 3 at the moment. These are actually in service. It could be the Smolensk, the Ural, or the Tomsk. Now, Severomorsk is currently operational. The other 2 are not. So that could be either the Ural or the Tomsk. Moving around the corner, you have multiple civilian icebreakers. As you can sort of see there, very interesting looking ship, nuclear powered cargo ship, deep draft cargo ship, support ship. I don't know. That's cool. Very cool looking ship. And then we have possibly the most iconic warship of the Russian fleet. This is the Russian Federation ship, Seagull. I'm joking. The Kuznetsov class. The Admiral Kuznetsov herself. Now, this image is dated on the 14th of the 7th, 2020. The most recent image I can get. That puts it at almost it's about 8 months ago, roughly, this image was taken. As you can see, she's not completely ready to go back to sea. A lot of work needs to be done to that. And she looks to be on track for the 2022-2023 deployment she's expected to go on alongside the Admiral Nakimov, or Nakimov, depending on how you want to pronounce it. So that is a Kirov. Correction, no, it's a Kuznetsov. Flipping hell. Russia, name your ships easily, please. So, ways to ID a Kuznetsov class aircraft carrier. Long forecastle, or long forward flight deck. You can see it actually rises up. The angled flight deck to the left hand side, or to the port side. The large superstructure over here with the funnel. And 2 lifts. So look at some images. Yep, that's some icebreakers. No one cares about icebreakers. And yeah, you can sort of see the superstructure. It's very Russian-esque. It's definitely taken straight out of the Admiral Gorshkov class, which is the modified Baku. Yeah, you can see. I don't know if there's actually any decent images. There we are. If you've never seen one of these crazy honking looking ships, that is it. World's worst aircraft carrier, but probably one of the world's best missile cruisers. So, let's continue the recognition. Moving south, you have this thing, which looks like a Uteloy class destroyer. And you're correct, however, it's not a Uteloy 1. This is the sole Uteloy 2, the Admiral Shabanenko. How do you know that? Well, for starters, she's been alongside for a few years in sort of refit. She's inactive, but she's being refitted. If I rotate 90 degrees to the west, looking east, you can see by here, it's a single gun turret forward. No super firing gun turret but there. That's because that's a dual 130mm gun. Same as the Peter the Great, same as a Sovremeny, same as the Rapucha 2, and same as a Slava. She is the only ship to have that. You can't see it, but the additional weapon systems that a Uteloy 2 has is switching out the Silex for sunburn. So it makes it completely more deadly. Uteloy 1s designated as frigates because they are ASW capable. This thing is actually a destroyer because she's designed for anti-surface warfare. Again, she has 2 funnels there, I should say, and 2 funnels. Yeah, 2 funnels there, 2 funnels there. And then the large superstructure there. And then the 2 landing spots on the aft end for your helix. And unfortunately, I was hoping that was going to give you an image of the ship. Nope. And no. Never mind. It's worth a try. Worth a try to get some images of them. Nope. And maybe? No. Seems like they don't want to give you an image of their ship. Ah, Kuznetsov. Anyway, let's move on. Ooh, that might be it. That's a Uteloy. That's a Grisha. Right. Go back to north. continue our look. Those are the dry docks for the naval base. As you can tell, they're not being used. Sometimes you might see ships in dry docks. Sometimes the nice image of the side shadow normally tells you what it is. But using these little tips and tricks I'm showing you, and showing you actual images of these ships, hopefully gives you an idea of how to ID it. Now, by here, you've got a couple of tankers. And I know for a fact, 2 of these are definitely Russian fleet oilers. That one I am not too sure on. So this one by here is the new one. This is the Project 23190, the Academic Passion. She is recently just commissioned into the fleet, and she is a modern naval fleet oiler. Next to her is a very distinguishable shape. This is a Borishchilkin class. Now, the only Borishchilkin class in the Northern Fleet is, ironically, there isn't one. So she's probably just on a... She's probably gone up to the Northern Fleet to do some exercise. Okay. Don't worry if you can't actually ID the ship because it's not part of the This is not part of a Northern Fleet, but it could be from somewhere else. So don't worry. Okay. Next to it, on the other hand, is a problem. I can't ID this. She might be a Boris Chelkin, and I might just get these sizes completely different. But yeah, that's an interesting one. I think she might be a Klindengraft class oiler, but I can't tell you that completely. Okay, so even the professionals can actually make mistakes here. So that is actually a Dubna class, and that is the Borishchilkin class. The Borishchilkin is kind of the largest one they have. Alright, so I do apologise. I can even get it wrong sometimes, and I'm literally the master at mastering the recognition of ships at sea. That's kind of my problem. I do apologise. Moving south into actually Murmansk itself, you have naval dry docks by here. Anything in there? Nope. That there, just about to see for the cloud cover, is a Rapucha 1. Rapucha 1, because you've got same thing as adding the Rapucha up to the north, except for you can see it's got 1 gun turret there and 1 gun turret there. Can I see? Nope. No mind. It was worth a try. I'm going to look at the images. And moving more further down, because these aren't actually the warships. These are like patrol ships. By here. This is possibly the last ones you can find in Murmansk. And I need some help from you guys. So, these 2 vessels by here. There's another one down in Kronstadt. However, I actually can't ID these. It's been really annoying me trying to work out what those are, because I don't know what they are. I've looked and looked and looked, they're not coming up, and I don't know what these things are. So annoying. But these ships are definitely not the new Darsky class, because they haven't actually been commissioned yet. They are not a Staragushi class, because they've got a completely different hull form forward and different superstructure there. They are not the Tigra class, because those haven't actually been laid down yet, which is the export version for the Staragushi that's going to Algeria. And I can't find any Coast Guard vessel in the Russian Coast Guard that fits that. Before anyone goes, it's a Vasily Baikov, no, it's not. Vasily Baikovs are completely different. They are grey, they have a grey deck, and yeah. So I don't know what those are. Looking at it, she is, now, a problem with this, the ruler is, it's sometimes inaccurate lengthwise. But that's apparently 93.90 meters long. And it looks to be, on both sides of the hull, the midships, you've got an opening for a seaboat. If anyone can give me a hand with that one, please help me. Because I've had a few guys try and help me, and we don't know what it is. Ooh, there it is. That might be it. No, I don't think it is. But, to to give you an idea, she's got an enclosed mast and a 100mm gun up front. So, yeah, that's it, basically. Yeah. Move along here. Just in case I have not, just to make sure I haven't missed anything. I don't think I missed anything. Like my 4th time actually recording this video. No, 8th time actually recording this video. So, no, looks like everything is covered so far. Right, let us move north to Polyarny. This is Polyarny, okay? Note, it does not look anything like it does in the awful movie that is Hunter Killer. There's no underwater cave to get a Virginia-class submarine to go through. There's no water tower. There's... yeah. It is a really stupid movie. And even if you go over here, there isn't. It's... yeah. Even in here, there's no water tower. There's no refueling derrick. And there's no random dam / water flow area. So yeah. Hunter Killer. Stupid movie. Moving on. Oh, go away. Right, move in. Move into Polyarny. Polyarny is mainly a submarine base. It's not just the single area of Polyarny. It is multiple different towns basically into one overall name, but multiple bases of Polyarny. So, let us have a look. So these by here are Kilo class submarines. Okay, you can tell they are short, stumpy, big sail. It's kind of the way you have a look at it. Looking at this, my little crib, you are looking at about 5 Kilo class submarines in the Northern Fleet. So, 1, 2, 3, and there's a couple more further to the west. So, yeah, that's how you idea Kilo class. That's probably the best image you can find of a Kilo class, is that. So, forward escape port there, forward escape port there. Just, they don't have a vertical tail that sticks out of the water. It's below the water and it's actually on the bottom of the submarine. So that's how you idea it. They're normally under about 80 to 90 meters long, roughly, give or take. Can't remember the figures off the top of my head. So yeah, that's kind of it. So Kilo, Kilo, Kilo. Dumpy little thing. That there, as you see, Kilo. Moving on. So by here, you got some Grishas. These are Grisha class corvettes, per se, frigates, designed for ASW. We've got a small little missile launcher there, and then you can see, there's a break there for a lower deck, and there's a gun turret on the aft end. It's about a 100mm gun or a 76mm gun. So that's how you kind of ID it. Sometimes they come in red, sometimes they come green. That's that type of thing, to be honest. Moving more to the west, you're looking at these. These are patrol boats, okay? These are, looking at it, I believe that's a Tarantul. Yeah, it's a Tarantul. So these are Tarantals. Best way to differentiate between a Tarantul and a Nanuchka is a Tarantal's got 2 launchers and a Nanuchka's got 3. So that's the best way to look at it. Tarantul 2, Nanuchka 3. Okay? Sometimes they can come green, sometimes they come red. It's all dependent. It's very the same as a Grisha. So, yes. And over here, you've got, I believe, is Groshenok class anti-saboteur boats. So, multiple by there. And by there you got a Nanuchka class. Moving on. Oh, actually. No. Very nice area, actually. Looks beautiful. Little cove, moving around. Down to here. On the other side of this little base, you've got the decommissioning and scrapping of an Igon Rogachev class landing ship. And next to it, that looks like a support ship. Not gonna lie, I can't actually ID that. I haven't got Scooby-Doo what that is. Looks like a submarine base. Well, not submarine base, but more like a submarine enclosure. Moving around this headland, we got some more ships. So, in there is usually where they keep some submarines to like bring them out to the water and actually do some work to them. That bit there looks like a mine hunter. Have a look on size comparison. 83 meters long. Small there. No stack. Well, I can tell you one thing, that is not a Yuri Ivanov class AGI. Don't know what that is. Anyone wants to let me know what that is? Please be my guest. Moving over here. It's apparently, according to this, a three-dimensional building for a Delta 4. However, that is not a Delta 4. That's actually a Delta 3. And it's not what you think it is. So Delta 3 is technically the predecessor to the Delta 4 SSBNs. All SSBNs. Now, that does not have a hump, which makes it very, very, very special. This is a special purpose submarine, and as a Delta 3, there's only a single one. That makes it the Orenburg. She's designed to take a smaller submarine underneath the belly of the sub and do deep sea operations with it. And if I can get a picture, nope, that's not gonna do. But that's what that is. So, very, very interesting. Next thing along by here, looks like a landing support ship. It looks like an alligator from the top, but I could be wrong. Not good with those ships. Moving on, you've got an icebreaker. There's a lot of icebreakers up here. Looks like a decommissioning scrapping yard, but there. Moving around, there is a Grisha for them. Same thing applies. Pointy bow, gun turret aft, raised superstructure. Sometimes you can see the RBU launchers on the front end of the superstructure. Over here to this thing, that's a Uteloy 1. Now, given off the fact that the Severomorsk is on the Severodvinsk? Severomorsk? Yeah, Severodvinsk is in Severomorsk. That, I believe, is the Admiral Gorshkov. Moving on, over here, this is where it gets interesting, because you have got a submarine support tender by here, a submarine in here, looks to be either an Akula or a Grisha, not a Grisha, a Sierra or a Victor, and then by here, that is an Oscar. Just about see it. Very chunky sub. Very cool, eh? That kind of concludes this little area. There is an area slightly further away that has the SSBNs actually loading the missiles, which is really cool. And let me go find it, and I'll show you where it is. Right, I just found it. It's literally just above Polyarny. Let's move into here. Move to the north. Just so I'm not, I'm not missing out anything. Those little random ships. This by here is an SSBN. So looks to be a Delta 4. And this is where they tend to load all the nukes. So there's a hump there. You're just about to see it with this one as well. The hump is there and it kind of gradually molds into the hull as it gets back. So you've got 2 Delta 4s, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you've got 6 Delta 4s. Which means all of them are there in that image. Which is good. Means there's no big submarines at sea. Next to this by here, that is a largish submarine. Looks like an Ssgn. Look at the length of it. 105 meters. That is not a kilo. Okay. Once you look at these, you can try and work out what it is. It doesn't have a towed array ball or towed array eyelet thing. I can't remember exactly how to pronounce it. Describe it. It's like a long tube that's kind of thins out of the back. A bit of a ball at the front. Ooh, actually, thinking about it, that one that we looked at earlier on might be the Balsam class. So, scroll through. It's too large to be a Victor. Could be a Sierra, but that's got a towed array on it. And, well, it's definitely not the Sorov as well. Not a Platus, not a Losharik. So, that could be the last Sierra 1? Or Victor 1? It could be. Just looking at it. Size matches the Sierra. But that Sierra's got a towed array on the back end. It's not a Victor, because Victors are too small. And they also have a ball. So, God knows what it could be, actually. Ugh. I don't know. I'm not sure what that is, actually. Anyone knows? Let me know. There's another number there, which is very interesting. How about Cooler 1? Could be in a Cooler 1. No. Cooler's got the towed array. Although, that being said, there's versions of an Akula that does not have the towed array, and it does fit that. Looking at it to be an Akula 1, they were not decommissioned. So, that could be an Akula, and that could be an Akula. Very interesting. Yeah, we'll go with Akulas. So you got Delta 4, Delta 4, Delta 4. Delta 4, Delta 4. That looks like an alligator. Ooh, image. That's old. That's very old. Nope, can't see anything on that one. Jesus Christ, that's old. And that's also a very old image as well. Right. I think that's about it for the Northern Fleet when it comes to over here. Over here's a decommissioned submarine. Well, it's not got a sail, so I can't really tell what it is. Hopefully the image will tell me. That looks like an Oscar. That's the back end of an Oscar. Any other images around? Nope. Okay, right. So that's pretty much that entire base. There is a base further up here. There are a couple of subs. So a Cooler. That's an Oscar. That's 3 Oscars we found. A couple of days later than a couple of days earlier than the images we were looking at earlier on. But that's an Oscar. That's an Oscar. The Ssgn base. Over here, there isn't really anything. That's an Oscar. Definitely that's an Oscar. So you can see the opening, and those are missiles that go into it. Is that? It says a Ssgn. I think that's Miss RD, because Ssgns definitely do not have the side openings. So that's interesting. That's where the Oscars are based out of. That image? Nope. Very, very interesting. Right, let's go look at Severodvinsk, and then we'll end this video. So Severodvinsk is over here. It's near the White Sea town or city of Arkhangelsk, or Archangel, as we like to call it in the English language. And this is Severodvinsk, okay? A large, large, large city on the outskirts of Archangel, which is right here. And once you zoom in, you can see right here, there's a lot of ships, and there's 2 largest warships and 2 large black things. To pretty much say it, or large dark grey things. Let's zoom in, shall we? We'll go to the harbour entrance. Those 2 ships there, boats, are definitely Typhoon class. So images state that's the Archangelisk, and that is the Severodvinsk, which is very interesting. These are very, very big subs. Okay, you can still see the missile tubes are open. Best way to ID a Typhoon is very long forward casing, and then you've got the large sail with the large bulging around it. The 2 propellers enclosed in propulsor units, and the vertical stabilizer there. Moving on. That vessel there is a Zavoshka class. She's a multi-purpose salvage vessel, which is quite cool. Small little tankers are there, a couple of patrol vessels. These 2 are here. These 2 are Grisha class. Very cool looking boats. Again, these are grey. These are red now. Missile launcher, gun turret. Just about to see the superstructure and the small funnel. There's 2 of them there. Moving over here, this is a Admiral Gorshkov class. That's apparently a Typhoon. But that's a Gorshkov. So, differences between the 2, the Grigorovich and the Gorshkov. The Gorshkov is more stealthy looking. Grigorovich looks like a Talwar. You can still see, new ship, it's got grey decks. Very hard to differentiate sometimes between the hull and the deck, but luckily enough there's shadow. Definitely with the aft end, it's kind of hard to sort of see where it kind of goes the side of the ship, and then the flight deck starts. So yeah. Best thing with Gorshkov is it's got a gun at the forward end, got angled sides with missile launchers in the middle, a Steregushi style enclosed mast with sort of like a ball radar on top, separate smokestack, and then slightly raised, well, hangar there. Flight deck aft. That's that type of thing. Moving around up here along the wall, you have yourself a very, very large submarine. And the question is, what is this submarine? Many people might be answering, that might be something naughty. Yes, it might be actually. That might also be something that is very special to the Russians. But we shall let you know what that is. That is the Belgorod. That's the special purpose nuclear-powered submarine that's going to take the Poseidon nuclear-powered, nuclear-tipped, and intercontinental torpedo. Yes. There it is. Just a modified Oscar. And the Oscar is a very loud submarine, so you could probably find that thing and, well, torpedo it. Get rid of it. One way of getting rid of a intercontinental ballistic missile submarine. Right, moving on. Moving on. That there is a submarine, obviously. However, because of the scaffolding and the big box next to it, I can't really tell what it is. Because it's quite short, and the angle of the camera, and the angle of how the satellite took that image, it's very hard to work it out. But that is just approaching 130 meters long. Look at the crib. Definitely not the Sarov. Got a vertical stabilizer. Not a Delta 4. Not a Delta 3. Not a ladder. Not a Kilo. Not a Sierra. Not a Sierra. And it's not a Victor. It's not a Bori. And it's not the Delta 4 SSBN. It's not a Typhoon. So, that could possibly be a new submarine under construction, or it could be a submarine under refit. Looking at it, it's got a vertical stabilizer there. Could be in a cooler. Or it might be a Ssgn. Because up here, that's a Ssgn, the clasper there. I think that's the Severodvinsk itself. The comparison of size normally helps you out when it comes to working it out. If you're very unsure, just, you know, measure. That's a Ssgn. That's a Ssgn class. However, depends on which Ssgn it is, because Ssgns come in 2 different sizes, which is a problem. So yeah. Right. So that's a Ssgn. That's a Ssgn. You can tell the Ssn's got a very curved, well, curved sail, to be honest. That one's a bit hard, but you can just about see the curvature of the sail there. Right, moving on to this dry dock, or floating dock. That is a Bory, because it's got the vertical launch SSBN, well, vertical launch intercontinental ballistic missiles. It's got a covered what's it called? Covered propeller. That's the one. As you can tell, I'm literally doing this off the fly. Covered propeller, and you can not really see much, but that is a Bory. Moving into this little basin by here, you come to this. I know a few people are like, "Oh my god, it's a Kirov." Yes, this is the Admiral Nakimov. As you can sort of see, she is undergoing the refit. That looks like when they rebuilt, I want to say what's it called? The Vikramaditya from the Baku. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's the Admiral Nakimov. Kirov class. Very hard to work it out. What exactly is going on in it? There's a lot of different things that have vents on it. But yeah, that's a Nakimov. Okay? Some very big buildings where they build some ships and submarines. Moving over here, there's nothing really of interest. Moving up to here is where the special submarines are. So that is, if you get the ruler out, I can tell you exactly what you're looking at there. 102 meters long. Don't take it for gospel, because sometimes the ruler is wrong, but because it's got no sort of vertical like sonar towed array, it's not one of the Victors. It's too big, and it's not one of the Sierras. Now, it's too big to be the Sarov, so I want to say that might be maybe an Akula one. Over here, that there has got a slight bulge, and I think that's the Sarov. It's about the right length to be the Sarov as well. That's a special submarine designed to prototype and launch the Poseidon intercontinental nuclear tipped nuclear powered torpedo. So that's fun. That one there looks to be a Akula 2 or a Victor or a Sierra. Best way to look at it. Measure the length. It's not a Victor. Possibly an Akula 2. I think. Akula 2. It's not Sierra. I think it's an Akula. Or a Sierra, depending on what it is. Next to it, however, is a deep sea diving submarine. So you got one there, you got one there. That looks to be the Ssgn, and that is one of the, I can't remember the designation, it's probably AS something. The Paltus class. Yes. So that's the Paltus class. That's the Ssgn. the AS-12. Moving down here, there should be a couple more. By here is Kirov herself, or as she's now known, the Admiral Gorshkov. There she is. Naughty looking vessel. However, she's now slated for the scrapyard. And then that there is a Dmitry Donskoy. She's the currently still in commission Typhoon class. Over here looks to be a deep sea diving submarine. Now, if we measured the one over here, it could tell us exactly which one she is. That's 48 meters long. That one over there is 42 meters long. So those are the Paltas class. That one over there might actually be Ssgn. Yeah, that's Ssgn. So she's currently looks to be in the back of a, I don't know what that is. That's like a dry dock ship submarine thing. I don't know. Bit weird. So yeah, that's kind of how you ID the ships in the Northern Fleet. It's a bit of a rambling video. It's a bit of a, you know, not the most professional way of doing it, but it's kind of, IDing ships is kind of better as a conversation. Which why things are falling over in my room. So yeah, things are just like more like, just look at it. You kind of ramble to yourself going, is it this one? Is it that one? And then you kind of come to the idea. The only thing I'm saying majorly is ID it, is measure. Measure it, comparison, and then you can then work out exactly what it is. It's all about deduction, okay? That's kind of how you do it, alright? So, I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Thank you very much. So that's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you learned something new. Don't forget to like the video before you leave. Leave a comment and give a suggestion of what you think I should do next. As well as if you have a question you want me to answer, please put it in the comment section on the pinned post. Apart from that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I recommend doing so because I have some very interesting content coming out very soon. If you want to support the channel, there is a Patreon page, but that's entirely up to you. If you do so, there is some interesting perks to actually being a Patreon to the page. Apart from that, all you need to do is say thank you very much, have a nice day, and here's a sneak peek at next week's video.